Resounding call echoes through Georgetown for house-to-house registration and credible elections. These and more on your Friday, June 21 news. First up, Minister of State Dawn Hastings-Williams, Minister of Foreign Affairs Dr. Karen Cummings, and Women for Change chairperson Tamara Khan today joined concerned citizens in the call for house-to-house registration at a peaceful protest.
I'm here joining the protesters asking for credible house-to-house registration in order to have a credible election. If you had listened to the statement that was made by none other than His Excellency, he would have assured the citizens to remain calm and to allow process to take place, and that process is to have house-to-house registration, which we had been calling for, in order to have a credible election, an election that will give everyone freedom of choice to elect their government of the day.
We want to make sure that we don't disenfranchise any persons. 18 years and those who weren't 18 at a time. In fact, we want our list to be sanitized. And there are a lot of dead people and so on the list. You know that.
There are over 10,000 people who will not be able to vote in the upcoming elections if we do not have house-to-house registration. 200,000 plus entries are incorrect. We need a new list in order for us to be able to have fair elections, and that's ultimately what is important, that we not disenfranchise our youth, that they exercise their constitutional right to vote, and that we have a clean list, a new list for fair elections.
Exercising their freedom to assemble and freedom of speech, both young and middle age in and out of government began gathering at Lamaha and Main Streets from as early as 10 o'clock, calling on the Guyana Elections Commission GECOM to ensure house-to-house registration takes place before the next regional and general elections.
It's only fair for me. I will see the list not being in terms of quantity much more, but we know about 10,000 will go off, and it's likely that 10,000 will go on. But the 10,000 coming off are the numbers who are not supposed to be there, the person who are not supposed to be there, and the person you'll be denying 10,000 voters. Roughly 10,000 voters amount to about 2 seats in Guyana.
We don't want anyone, even if it's one person, to be excluded from that list. To disenfranchise one is to disenfranchise 1,000. So we're out here offering support for the proclamation that was made by the president that he would like to have house-to-house registration as well.
It doesn't augur well for us as a country. You know, we always say that the young people are the future. If they are the future, then act like it. Let us go house to house, ensure that they get on the voters list to be able to put their X next to whichever political party it is that they want to put their X next to. But we owe them that much as a country to ensure that we enfranchise them, we empower them to vote.
Felicia Valenzuela, InfoHub.
Meantime, several youths from across the country have maintained that registration is the only route to a free and fair electoral process. InfoHub spoke to a few persons, some of whom were protesting outside of GECOM, to hear what they had to say.
17-year-old O'Keefe Lewis said it is important for him to be able to become registered and cast his ballot whenever the next elections are called.
I'll soon be turning 18 and I want to vote.
According to these youths, it is pivotal to exercise their democratic and constitutional rights and to be part of the decision-making process.
Persons are dead. Some persons are not living here. Persons like myself, I have friends who are not registered. A youth voice. They say youths are the future of the country, youths are the future, but they're not giving us a free and fair election. They're not going through registration. How are they going to vote? How are they going to be the future if they didn't have a say?
Elections in any country should be free and fair, especially with Guyana now going into the oil industry. I don't think we would want to host an election without a credible list.
Any election should be free and fair, no matter where.
I think the house-to-house registration would enable these persons to now be able to cast their vote. It will not deny them the right. So I think it's a good initiative in giving them that opportunity and not denying the party also that they would vote for these amount of votes.
I believe that young people must have a say in what they want their government to do. As a young person, I also want to help dictate what happens in government because eventually that will affect me as a young person. So I must advocate for young people, and I believe they deserve that chance to vote.
And I don't think you should carry on an election without a new list and allowing young people to vote.
A free and fair election would mean that we have our registration done. There's too many youths who are not registered, who don't have ID cards and will be excluded from the voters list.
In our context right now, a fair election would mean, obviously, a list that is not expired, one that represents and shows the persons who are actually living here, the persons who are eligible, the persons who are not dead on a list.
If we're going to say fair and free elections, then it means that we need to give our youths that chance to exercise their rights as a citizen to vote, especially when they reach the age of 18.
The young persons also spoke on the matter of first-time eligible voters not being allowed to vote because they are excluded from the list. Letitia Isaacs for InfoHub.
More development for Guyana, as persons living with disabilities are now eligible for import tax and value-added tax exemptions on the purchase of smartphones and certain vehicles.
Minister of Public Telecommunications Catherine Hughes announced on Friday that the Guyana Revenue Authority, GRA, has recently completed the tax exemption policy. The application process and procedures are now being finalized by the Ministry of Public Telecommunications and the National Commission on Disabilities.
This is another means of empowering the people with the increased use of technology. It opens many doors for them, and we hope it will strengthen their confidence to seek or create employment and to use information technology for their own development and our national growth.
According to Minister Hughes, the ministry had made the proposal to Minister of Finance Winston Jordan in 2018, who immediately took it on board. Minister Jordan made the announcement during his November 2018 budget presentation.
Guyana's community of persons living with a disability at the last census was 49,000 persons. That number is much larger today, as it includes senior citizens who have developed age-related hearing and physical impairments. The members of this community have lived on the margins of our societies for most of their lives because previous governments did not make adequate, sometimes no, provisions to accommodate their needs. This government is putting that to an end.
For the first time, persons living with disabilities will be able to purchase their own vehicles free of excise duty and VAT. They will also be granted tax rebates and handsets with accessibility features allowing visually and hearing impaired persons to afford smartphones. During his budget presentation last November, Minister Jordan said that the two initiatives solidify the government's commitment to equity and inclusion for all citizens through the use of information and communications technology, ICT. For InfoHub, Shaquille Bourne.
The National Drainage and Irrigation Authority has begun preparations for the pumping of water from a section of the Pomeroon to aid in irrigation efforts for rice farmers along the Essequibo coast.
The National Drainage and Irrigation Authority has begun preparations for the pumping of water from a section of the Pomeroon to aid in irrigation efforts for rice farmers along the Essequibo coast. Farmers within the vicinity of New Road and Charity on the Essequibo coast have been facing a shortage of irrigation water due to the prolonged dry spell. CEO of the NDIA, Frederick Flats, explains.
This is the only part of the country that we are having this problem. The other parts of the coast, we have enough water for irrigation purposes. As a result of this, there is not much water in the lakes, particularly the Kupui, Mainstay, and Tapukuma lakes.
Lands south of Riverstown are currently being irrigated with water from the Itiribisi Conservancy. As such, farmers between Supanam and Itiribisi River are not facing any problems. The area between Riverstown and Queenstown are also benefiting from irrigation from the Itiribisi Conservancy.
Other areas, we have some amount of problems. Right now, we have been releasing water from the Tapukuma Lake into the main canal And so there is water in the areas north of Queenstown, right down to the Somerset and Berks area.
Despite this intervention, the water is still not at the height that the farmers would be accustomed to. The farms in these areas utilize gravity-fed irrigation. As such, the farmers in the backland receive adequate water, while those farmers at the front face the expense of pumping water from secondary canals.
As from the 21st of June, 2019, the NDIA would be pumping water from the Pomeroon River into the Tapakuma Conservancy, and we believe that within a few days, farmers would be able to have water at higher levels, and there would be no need for farmers to be pumping water from the secondary canals into their fields.
This move will alleviate the cost of pumping water into the fields for farmers, thus relieving them of the financial burden of mechanically irrigating their fields. Reporting for InfoHub, Nikosi Bruce.
Today marks the start of Guyana Restaurant Week under the popular theme, Explore, Eat, Repeat. The twice-a-year feature event gives patrons a chance to try exceptional Guyanese cuisine from the best restaurants in the country at reduced prices. This year, Restaurant Week will run until June 30 with 19 restaurants on board. As is the norm, the dining experience starts as low as $2,000 for lunch, with dinner ranging from $4,000 to $5,000 depending on location. This includes value-added tax and service charges where applicable, but does not include beverages. More on this story can be read on our website. Still to come, GPL to construct a 5-kilometer transmission line in 2020 and $1 million bridge commissioned in Wakapau Region 2. Details after the break. Stay with us.
Are you ready to embark on a truly epic adventure to an undiscovered corner of South America, where some of the most spectacular natural attractions are unveiled within a beautifully diverse landscape? From the wetlands and savannas to the ancient mountains, magnificent waterways and lush enriching rainforest would provide a vast playground for some of the most exotic and breathtaking creatures on the planet, including many of the world's giant species. This untouched land of mystery and wonder serves up an exclusive experience for travelers. So are you ready for a new, awe-inspiring adventure? Welcome back to nature. Welcome to Guyana.
Welcome back. The Guyana Power and Light Incorporated has secured $5.2 billion in funding through a loan from the Inter-American Development Bank to construct 5 kilometers of transmission line.
During its presentation to the Public Utilities Commission, GPL announced plans to construct another transmission line between its Sophia and Kingston substations. This is an effort to duplicate the link between the stations.
We have one single transmission line. At present, if that line fails, what effectively happens is that there's a separation between our generation, our most important generation plant, 58 megawatts of capacity, which is approximately half of our demand, our peak demand.
Divisional Director of Projects Ryan Ross, constructing the transmission line will strengthen the Demerara-Berbice Interconnected System, DBIS.
So the result of such a failure is a separation that would likely result in a complete system shutdown. On one side of our grid, you have all the load, and on another side, you'll have all the generation. So that, in effect, is a very important line, if not the most important transmission line for GPL.
Construction of the 5-kilometer line is part of GPL's plans to achieve redundancy in its transmission system. With this new transmission line, customers as far as Berbice would not be easily affected should there be a disruption in one of the transmission lines.
Reported from GPL's presentation in front of the Public Utilities Commission at Duke Lodge with videographer Joanne Jordan, Shaquille Bourne for InfoHub.
A $1 million connecting bridge in Wakapaw Region 2 was commissioned to allow easier access to the school and health center in the Riverine Village.
The bridge will allow for easier access to the Mairi area, which is considered to be the commercial zone. The road leading to the Yaroshrima Primary School was also rehabilitated. According to Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs Sidney Alicock, the project is delivering on a promise made to the community.
We're very happy that we could continue to deliver what you have asked for and what we have promised you.
The bridge was part of the Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs capital project. The works were done by the villages, who also provided the materials for its construction.
It's part of a program, and that part of the program would have allowed you, the community, to be a partner in this developmental process.
This project comes just 3 months after a 16 million walkway was commissioned in the community to link the Mairi and Burrata Islands. Kippany Jordan, InfoHub.
That's all for today. Connect with us on WhatsApp, Facebook, and YouTube. Much more news is on our website, dpi.gov.gy. And pop over to Instagram for the latest photo updates at DPI Guyana. Your bridge and weather reports are up next. Have a safe and enjoyable weekend. Goodbye for now.